Hey, it's Squidly. So this is a video that I've had on my mind for a while, and I've tried to come up with all kinds of excuses not to do it because frankly there's some embarrassing things in here that I didn't want to do, but I just feel like we're all here backpacking, we're all doing this thing, and these things just happen. So I'm looking at why the trail hates me. These are just backpacking failures. All right, so we've all had things that went wrong. And just to kind of start this off, I had one trip where it was a quick overnight. As soon as I got off work on a Friday afternoon, got out of there as quick as I could, and was already packed up, was ready to go, and went somewhere close. It was just to the Sipsey Wilderness, and at the time I only lived about an hour, maybe just a little bit over an hour away, and got there, hiked in about half an hour, set up camp, and realized my supper was sitting on the kitchen counter. I left my supper. Yeah. So I decided, well, I'm here, so I'll hang out for a little while, knowing I was going to have to pack it up and go home because there was just no way I was going to be able to continue with supper sitting on the kitchen counter. I had another trip. This was about 17 years ago, a long time ago. But I was hiking in the Smokies with a couple other guys, and on day one, our filter failed. And so realized at that point, okay, we're not going to be able to filter water, but we at least thought ahead to bring a backup. We had iodine tablets. Well, started taking the iodine tablets and started to feel a little bit of nausea from it. And for the next 2 days, I continued hiking. We stayed on our course and kept camping at the places we were going to. But for the next 2 days, I ate nothing. I just couldn't. I didn't have the appetite. I could not make food go down. So I didn't eat. And so for 2 days going on and hiking in the Smokies like this, and then I think it was about the third day, not only was I not eating, but now even the water that I was putting down started coming back up, and I was really sick. And the other two guys I was with sort of called it and just said, okay, we're done here. We're gonna call it. We're gonna get out of here. And of course I was able to walk out. I was still okay, just really nauseated. And just turned out the iodine tablets did not agree with me at all. And so I've learned since then, if I'm gonna have a backup, it's not iodine. I had another failure, and this was right before I started the YouTube channel, and this one was really embarrassing because I went through the effort I shuttled my vehicle. I was staying at a hostel, had somebody who helped me shuttle and delivered me to the trailhead on the morning that I started, and I knew going into it that I was going to have between 24 and 36 hours of rain. But I had most of that day to get to a campsite, and then I was going to be able to sit out the first nearly 16 hours of rain before I had to actually get out in it and hike. But I knew that I was going to have to. And so I get to the place where I'm going to camp. I got to exactly the place where I thought I was going to be, and put in, I think it was like 14 miles that day, and got to where I was supposed to be, beat the rain, set up, and still had about an hour before the rain started, and then the rain started, and here it came. Now, this is a tent that I had had for a number of years, and I had been in the rain with before and had not had any issues, and so I'm laying there, had earbuds in, I'm just listening, and I realized, I looked around, and it was raining inside my tent. I'm still to this day not sure exactly where all that water was coming from, but it was flooding my tent. And so at this point, my sleeping bag was wet because I already had it rolled out. I was laying on top of it, and everything is wet. And it's just, this is going to be a miserable night, and things are not going to dry out for the rest of the trip. This was going to be misery. And it was pouring rain. And I had to make the decision, I've got to bail. And it was humiliating because the guy who I stayed at the hostel and all this, and I get to the close to the trailhead where I finally have a signal, and I'm messaging him and trying to call him to tell him, hey, I'm bailing, come pick me up. And he comes and gets me, and he's like, I thought you were a hiker. It's like, well, It just didn't. I had a gear failure. I've been betrayed by all kinds of things, and this time I got betrayed by my tent. So, and the one that's probably the most public, I even have a video on it. I'll put it up here in the cards. Went on a trip with my son, and we were having a blast, and we're 2 days into it, and that night I just didn't feel exactly right, and didn't have much of an appetite. Realized, okay, I'm really not going to eat much tonight, and got up the next morning and felt terrible and realized something's wrong. Well, it turned out I had the flu, and I had the flu shot that year, but I got the flu anyway. And so I had to hike myself down. I didn't really know what was wrong still at this point, but I had to hike down the mountain. Turned out I had the flu, and because I'm diabetic, the flu triggered diabetic ketoacidosis, which is lethal if it goes untreated, but of course everybody gets it treated. It's not going to kill you as long as you get it treated, but just a horrible feeling. And so on this one, I was betrayed by my immune system. So really, what's the point of this video? I don't know. I guess it's just that stuff happens sometimes, and the trail hates me, and whether it's my immune system betraying me, gear that's betraying me, water that's betraying me, my appetite and my stomach or my forgetfulness and I leave stuff. Something happens that I end up getting just betrayed on trail, and trips fail. And so no matter how much you put into trying to make sure that the trips go right, sometimes they just don't. But sometimes I have trips that just fail, and I seriously work to try to make sure that these things don't happen. But sometimes it just does. Do me a favor, and in the comments, tell me, if you're not too ashamed of it, what has caused your biggest failures on the trail? What has caused you to have to abandon a trip? Just leave that in the comments, and let's have a conversation about it. I'd be interested to hear what other people have been betrayed by on the trail. While you're here, don't forget, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know next time I put out a video.